Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show 250 with yours truly, the Heavy Pastor. As you may have noticed, show 250 is my personal testimony, and it's divided into chapters. Right now, we're in chapter 8. As you may recall, I was on the beach searching where I went to Mazatlan, Stone Island, searching for Don Juan, the peyote guru, which I did not find. I hated Christians. I hated St. Paul, the Apostle Paul. So I decided I embarked, but I liked Jesus. He fit me well. He was a long hair. He wore sandals. He was crucified with common criminals. He was one of us. So I started dissecting the words of Jesus, and as you may recall, I ran across in Matthew, I believe it's Matthew 11:15, or Matthew 15:11, where Jesus said, "Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of his heart, this defileth a man." The evangelical Christians would accuse us of being sinners, of going to hell, of being from Satan, because we drank beer, we smoked marijuana, or whatnot. But Jesus here was clarifying that not what goes into the mouth defiles a man, but what comes out of his heart. That really sold me on Jesus Christ. And I embarked on a fast, as you may have recalled from the last show, chapter 7. And I fasted for 8 days and 8 nights, only water. None of this sissy fast that they do now with papaya juice or soups, chicken soup. No, only water. I was going for the long run, for the long haul, but after 8 days and studying the words of Jesus, after 8 days, something told me, a spirit inside of me told me to go ahead and eat, that the fast was over. Something. It was a spirit inside of me told me to go eat. Didn't say it in words, in audible words, but just I felt there was no doubt. Look, when you're fasting like that, you don't have to believe me. Investigate. When you're fasting like that, you're hungry, really hungry for the first 3 days. After the third day, you no longer feel hunger. You feel light. You no longer feel hunger after the third day. So I wasn't hungry after 8 days, but something told me it was time to eat. And boy, on that ocean front there, Stone Island, those little restaurants with fresh fish, and Mexican food, they really know how to make their fish with avocado and all this stuff. Oh, was that a meal? Was that a meal that even 50 years later I still recall today, as if it was yesterday? One thing that started happening was that all of a sudden this young man by the name of Jeremiah appeared into the scene. And everybody seemed to know him. And he was very charismatic and full of all this energy, this love. Full of peace. I could see he had a spirit full of compassion and love, and he hugged people, and it was just different. It was like Jesus himself. That's what it was like. The guy was full of energy, charismatic as can be, full of love, full of peace. You could feel it. I never seen a person like that, with sharing joy and happiness and love with all these sinners like me, and all these pot smokers, marijuana smokers, and drug addicts. Everybody knew him. But then I noticed that sometimes he would smoke also sometimes, and marijuana. And when he would smoke, that magic would leave him. That magic would leave him when he would get stoned and smoke marijuana with us. But when he woke up in the next morning or something, straight as can be, with no marijuana, there it was again, that magic, that beauty. And I recognized that spirit, and I knew that's what I needed. That was the Holy Spirit, I'm sure, I have no doubt. But he wasn't a religious or a Christian or talking to us about God. He just had the Spirit. And I knew that was the Spirit that I needed. That peace, that love, that happiness, that joy, that charisma. That giving of love and giving hugs and loving other people. Damn, was he popular. So anyway, it was Christmas time was coming about, there was some changes going on inside of me like that, I started feeling like, wow, there's peace. Some people have peace and love. And that's what I needed, because I lived in perturbed, disturbed, suicidal, paranoid, I was a freak. Still am in some ways. That's why a lot of people stay away from me. And I try not to look at myself in the mirror. But anyway, it was Christmas time was coming. I hadn't seen my family, my flesh and blood family, like in 2 years or something. They lived in Miami. I was all the way in Mazatlan, right? That's on the Pacific, Mexico, Sinaloa. And anyway, I decided that it'd be a nice thing to go spend Christmas with them. I just felt this spirit of love, like, wow, I need to go spend Christmas. The Christmas spirit came upon me, and I decided I'd go, spend Christmas with my flesh and blood. And I called my brother, on a collect, because in those days, I'm talking about, this is what, 1974-ish. So, you would make collect calls. I called my brother collect, and he said, yeah, come on. Oh, he bought me a Greyhound ticket. I hitchhiked back to the border, I guess it was in Nogales, Tucson. I hitchhiked up there from Mazatlan, and then there in Tucson, I believe it was, the Greyhound ticket was awaiting me to go all the way to Miami. So I got in that bus. I was feeling different. I was feeling a bit different. Okay? I was feeling a bit different. Okay, and as we were traveling around and we were getting ready to cross, approaching New Orleans, right? So we went quite a ways, across Texas and approaching New Orleans. Something inside of me told me, or not audible, but I just felt something inside of me that which kind of like told me if I took one more hit, one more tab, one more LSD trip, that I would see the light of life. One more LSD trip would illuminate me. This unresistible urge came. And I knew where they sold LSD, in the French quarters, in Louisiana, in the French quarters, okay? Okay, so I knew where to go, okay? I knew where to go, New Orleans, French quarters. It was a hippie town then. So I went there, and I was waiting to see for somebody to sell, because it was in style. People would sell LSD. It was very common, like they sell crack now, and fentanyl, and crystal meth. Before, in those days, it was marijuana and LSD and heroin. But I was set on taking a trip of LSD, and I was waiting in a corner, when all of a sudden I see this old alcoholic, homeless man crying in the hands of these cult people called the Process, which are like satanic worshipers. And they wore a cross with a snake. They said, "You got to love Satan," which hey, they might have had a point, but they were like very cultish, and they were taking the old man. They would have a soup kitchen, and they'd feed people to convert them into the Process movement, the Satanist group. And the old man, and it was being taken by them, and he was crying, and something inside of me just made me cross the street. I crossed the street, and I looked at the old man, and I said words that I didn't know that I knew about God, about life, about love. I just touched his heart, man. He hugged me. He said, "Nobody has ever spoken to me like that." And I didn't know what the hell. And I felt I was high on drugs. I just felt this peace, and talking to this guy about God. It just came out. I mean, I didn't say, not my brain, it just came out of my heart without thinking. And then I told the guy, this homeless man, "You want to go to Miami with me? You spend Christmas with my family and me." He didn't want to go. He was kind of shy about it, but then I convinced him. I was insistent. I said, "No, you're homeless. You're in this Christmas spirit. You're going to spend Christmas with me and my family in Miami." And so I told my brother, I called him, I'm coming with a friend. So they sent more money, and me and this old man got on the bus. And we're on our way to Miami. Wait till you hear the next what's coming soon. I love you guys. Okay, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Be safe.